And behind-the-scenes coverage of the nation's top stories. Watch Inside Edition weeknights at 7 on KSEE 24.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. If you or someone you know were injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to tell you how much your case is potentially worth. So, Tom, tell the viewers watching at home who should call in right now.
Well, Gina, anyone who's been injured in an accident that was not your fault should give us a call right now. We have live agents available to answer any questions you have. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, Tom. You heard it, folks. Call now.
Today on Dr. Phil.
The father of a 9-year-old accidentally shot and killed by her brother.
The doctor walked in.
He just put his head in his hands and whispered, "Your son is gone."
Unsecured guns.
My youngest son was shot by my middle son.
I ran across the street and was like, my son's been shot.
Who's to blame? Were you both surprised when you were arrested? And see what happened when we left children alone with a replica gun. Won't touch these guns, okay?
Yes.
Promise? Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today is going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
Get ready to take care of you. Imagine finding out that your child has been shot. Not in a robbery or a crime, but by their best friend or their sibling, and that the gun used was yours. It's unimaginable, but it's happening way more than you think. In fact, in the last year, there were at least 678 unintentional shootings by children, resulting in 287 deaths and 242 injuries. And here's the thing. All of that could have been 100% prevented had the owners of those guns stored them securely.
The number of children getting their hands on guns is alarming, pulling the triggers, hurting themselves, or in some case, killing themselves or their siblings.
The most recent incident was just last weekend. A 6-year-old boy critically wounded after shooting himself in the head.
Milwaukee police are investigating after a 3-year-old boy accidentally shot himself with a gun in his own home. That boy did die at an area hospital.
The father of a 9-year-old accidentally shot and killed by her brother made his initial court appearance. Marcel Jelks was facing several charges, including child neglect resulting in death. The girl's mother is also facing charges.
A San Bernardino mother and her 14-year-old son are both facing felony charges after her 20-month-old daughter was shot in the leg.
In Denver, a father has turned himself into police after his 3-year-old son accidentally shot himself to death. Manuel Lopez turned himself in Monday afternoon. Police arrested the boy's mother, Selena Duran, last week. The accidental shooting happened inside a car parked on South Pecos Street Easter Sunday.
My first guests, Veronica and Nathan, know all too well about the dangers of leaving loaded weapons where children can access them. Their 9-year-old son picked up a handgun left on a nightstand and shot his 8-year-old brother.
We have 4 children ages from 6 to 14.
And in July of 2021, we had an unfortunate accident involving a firearm. My youngest son was shot by my middle son. During this whole process, CPS was involved. We had criminal charges pressed against us, and right now we are both currently on a 1-year probation sentence. We never thought it would happen to us, but unfortunately it did. In the blink of an eye, it can happen to anyone.
First off, I want to thank both of you for being here, because it takes a lot of courage to come and talk about this publicly. It'd be a lot easier to just stay at home and keep your head down and not talk about this. But I'm glad you are, because it brings light to this, which needs to be talked about. So, Veronica, tell me what happened.
On that day, I was cleaning up, just doing like our basic weekend stuff, cleaning up. I was expecting the boys to go out and do their outside chores as well. And then I heard to me, what sounded like a big balloon or a TV crashing. And then I hurried up and ran into my room to see my 8-year-old son on his knees, standing up, on his knees on the bed with blood down to his, maybe his abdomen, lower abdomen area. So right away I went and put pressure on his wounds. I ran across the street to our neighbors and was like, my son's been shot, can you take me to the hospital?
And Nathan, you had 2 rifles and 4 handguns.
Yes, sir, I did.
In the house, and one of these was loaded and just sitting on the nightstand, correct?
Correct.
Did you know it was there? Was it
yes,
intentionally there?
I left it there intentionally. We moved into this house about 4 years ago, and stuff was being stolen from our backyard. And 2 weeks prior to the incident happening, there was someone in our backyard late at night. So I just took it out from my dresser and put it on top just for the sake of my family's protection, And during that 2-week period, it just stayed there. And, and something told me that morning just to put it up because, nothing was going to happen. But I made the big mistake of not calling the police and reporting that someone was in my backyard. And I just wanted to take matters into my own hands to protect my family.
Okay, well, let me ask you something. Were you, first off, were you prepared in the night to pick up a handgun off of your nightstand and go shoot and kill somebody for stealing a bicycle?
Well, it was a lot more than a bicycle being stolen, but not really.
What else was being stolen?
I had an expensive welder, lawnmower tools, all my children's bikes. Just over like a 3-month period, a lot of stuff was being stolen.
Enough that you were willing to shoot somebody, kill somebody over it?
Well, just injure them or whatever I had to do.
Are you a really good shot?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people. The reason I'm asking is I've talked to a lot of people, and I've seen stories where, somebody does something in road rage, or they steal a car, somebody chases them down and, shoots at the car and shoots them in the back of the head and kills them over something that was stolen, and then have to live the rest of their life knowing they shot and killed somebody over
materialistic things, yes, sir.
Or an item. And I really wonder if you thought that through. Somebody
really
steals a
didn't.
welder and you shoot and kill them.
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking. Like I said, I made the mistake of not calling the police and reporting it.
So I was wondering if you start working backwards. If you look, I own guns. I'm not criticizing you for that. You say you had 2 unloaded rifles under the bed, 3 unloaded handguns in the dresser, and then the one on the nightstand, and you had 1 bullet in it?
Just 1 bullet, yes, sir.
When this happened, you got your son to the hospital, and fortunately, he's alive.
Yes, very, very blessed.
And
Yes.
And you told the kids many times, don't play with guns.
Yes, we have had that talk many times.
I mean, this wasn't something where you just recklessly left them around and
No.
never mentioned to them, these are dangerous.
No, they've had.
They knew.
Yeah. And were you confident that they would leave them alone?
Yes, sir. We thought that they were confident enough to just trust our word, listen to what we said about how dangerous they were.
How do you feel now?
Now I feel like they've learned a lesson and something was learned, but at the time of the accident, I felt, disgusted with myself, irresponsible, you name it, that's how I felt.
If you knew certain things, you would not refer to it as an accident. You would refer to it as an incident, because accidents are not foreseeable. Accidents are things that, happen that are happenstance, they're not foreseeable, they're not predictable. And the truth is, you now know this was pretty predictable, right? You know that kids can't be relied on to predict the consequences of their actions,
yes, sir.
to control their impulses.
Yes, sir.
Your intentions were not bad. You had no bad intent here for your children to be injured or put in harm's way.
Never.
Nathan and Veronica were shocked to learn they were being charged with making firearms accessible to a child. You know, charged. And we're going to talk about that after the break. Plus, how well do you know your child? Would they touch a gun after they had been warned not to? Find out what happens when children don't think they're being watched. That's after the break.
Do not touch the guns. They're not okay to play with.
Right after the teacher left, the boys were sniffing out the gun. I now got a complete gaggle of boys around the guns. I think I should go in right now. I'm going in.
Tomorrow.
Murdaugh murder trial. Dissection of the guilty verdict.
I think that was a jaw-dropping moment.
What was said in the jury room that caused two not guilties to change their votes?
I saw something happen in this trial I've never seen before in all my 20 years of being a prosecutor.
The numbers on criminal appeals are real low. Maybe about a 2% chance of winning an appeal when a defendant takes the stand.
That's tomorrow. Then on Monday, he says he's only cheated on his wife once.
Is this number 2?
A lying husband's affairs exposed.
How many more chairs do we need? It's season 22.
That's Monday.
My dad doesn't have to pay for school and stuff anymore.
With the pride of the Valley, we rise together. Boldly driven by our mission to elevate the minds of the next generation. We create championship experiences for student athletes through community donations. Contributions to the Bulldog Foundation help students succeed. Get involved. Donate today.
SJVC has been training HVAC-R technicians to hit the ground career-ready for over 40 years. Gain the confidence you need to succeed. It's more than book learning. You'll train hands-on using the tools you'll find in the field from instructors who've actually done the job. A certificate or degree from SJVC prepares you to step out and start your career and do it all faster and more affordably than you think. Go to sjvc.edu and discover how you can become HVAC-R technician ready with SJVC.
When I got hit by that truck, I wasn't just injured, I was scared and overwhelmed.
If you've been in an accident and suffered a serious injury, you need to get an attorney that will help you get what you deserve.
BD&J got us $3.5 million more than we were offered.
Call BD&J.
Before my doctor and I chose Breztri for my COPD, I had bad days. Flare-ups that could permanently damage my lungs. With Breztri, things changed for me. Breztri gave me better breathing. Starting within 5 minutes, I noticed my lung function improved. It helped improve my symptoms. And Breztri was even proven to reduce flare-ups, including those that could send me to the hospital. So now, I look forward to more good days.
Breztri won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. It is not for asthma. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Don't take Breztri more than prescribed. Breztri may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain occur. Can't afford your medication? AstraZeneca may be able to help.
Ask your doctor about Breztri.
At Long John Silver's, every bite is its own golden treasure. Thanks to thick, flaky Alaskan fish, hand-dipped in our signature batter and fried to golden perfection. Sail in for a $6 fish basket or order ahead at longjohnsilvers.com. Fish yeah!
Nathan and Veronica say that they taught their 4 children about the dangers of real guns and even removed all the toy guns from their home so as not to glorify gunplay and certainly not to have any confusion about anything concerning guns. They say they felt so secure in their teachings that they were okay leaving 2 rifles and 4 handguns, one which was loaded, fully accessible in their bedroom. Now, that decision nearly cost their son his life. Were you both surprised when you were arrested?
Yes, at the time, because it was over a year and a half after the incident happened. It was midnight when the police came banging on our door. All of our children were asleep, and they came and took us away
they decide that you're a threat to your children because you did something that was reckless. So a year and a half you spend with those children, then they come and take you out of the home. That's makes a lot of sense. Now, I mentioned that you had talked to your kids about this. You'd taken the toy guns out, which is, certainly steps in the right direction. But I've actually done an experiment about this. We all like to think our children heed our warnings, especially when it comes to things as dangerous and deadly as guns. You might be shocked to see what happens when we left children alone with replica guns, told them they were real, and warned them not to touch them. Take a look.
Do not touch the guns. They're not okay to play with. They're real guns and they're not to be played with. Does everybody understand?
Right after the teacher left, the boys were sniffing out the gun. 2 minutes later, the dollhouse roof came off. Notice how the little girl, right in the face of danger, couldn't be less interested. However, the boys continued to circle the weapon, becoming more and more curious. We took the girls out of the room, and the boys finally went for broke. We now got a complete gaggle of boys around the guns. They're in their hands, they're pointed with their fingers on the triggers. Elapsed time about 11 minutes. I think I should go in right now. I'm going in. Hey boys, how y'all doing? Okay, let me have that. Okay, whoa. Now, let me ask you something. Who remembers that we weren't supposed to play with the guns? Tell me what happens if one of these guns goes off.
It makes a loud sound and it can kill someone.
Okay, listen up. I want all of you to promise me that you'll never play with a gun again. Okay, now, if I leave these guns here, you guys won't touch them, will you?
No.
You won't touch these guns, okay?
Yes.
Promise?
Yes.
All right, good deal. See, even after the fact, they have no respect for the gun. No respect, no fear. Okay, now let's take a look at a freeze frame here. Look at what's happening. Now, this is the child of a mother that said she had multiple conversations with her child, was 100% certain that out of anybody in there, he would not touch the gun. That gun is in his hand. His finger is toward, if not on the trigger, and he's got it in his hand, and then he continues on and raises the gun. Now, this is within minutes of an authority figure teacher saying, don't touch the guns, don't touch the guns, don't touch the guns. Then I come in, talk to them again, tell them, leave them there. It happened again. They're just curious. And by the way, this is not a one-off. This is what happens. If that gun hadn't been available, would this have happened?
No, sir.
Yeah. And what do you do with the guns now?
We don't have any.
They're gone.
Yes, sir.
Will you have them in the home again?
Very unlikely.
Yeah. And you understand there's nothing wrong with the child. The child's being a child. That's just their brains. The last part of the brain to grow is part of the neocortex, and that's the part of the brain that predicts consequences of actions. Where are you now with CPS and
Well, we got our children back about 12 to 13 days after they've taken them away. At first, when they took them away, our caseworker told us it might be up to a year before we even get to get them back. So, you know, it was a nightmare.
And now you have no guns in the house, and the children can't get it caught in this situation again.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going to keep talking about this, and I want y'all to listen and chime in if you have some things to contribute. We're going to talk to a mother who saw her son off to his best friend's house. Just go see a buddy, only to find out a few hours later that her son was being rushed to the hospital. We'll hear her tragic, 100% preventable story after the break.
The minute the words came out of the ER doctor's mouth that my son was gone, my entire world imploded. That was the first 10 minutes of my life sentence.
I'm concerned about what's going on in America right now. We can really have an impact on this, and it can start with you. Very excited about my guest today. Knows a lot about things that most of us don't know about, need to know about. This is a very important conversation. I think you're going to find it stimulating, provocative, and persuasive. That's what we're talking about today on Fill in the Blanks. I want to up the knowledge curve a little bit. Available on Apple Podcast or however you listen.
Times more than the insurance company's first offer. So don't risk it. Get Berg.
Some people love adventure, and then there's Gilbert. Who knows what brought him to Table Mountain? But one thing for sure, it wasn't confidence. He looked around. What catches his eye? Blackjack. His first hand, 2 aces. So naturally, he splits them.
The book says to split them.
And guess what? Hits on both, gets paid. Hey, Gilbert, meet adventure. Another lucky day. Table Mountain Casino Resort.
KSEE 24, the Better Business Bureau, Fresno State Ethics Center, and Lyle Center are proud to honor local professionals at the celebration of ethical leadership tonight at 7 p.m. Proudly supported by Richard Heath and Associates, Donald P. Dick, and KSEE 24.
Enrollment is now open. Homeschool offers a flexible schedule to meet your family's needs. In Kingsburg Elementary Charter School District, we offer everything you need to participate in the successful education of your child. Credentialed teachers, multiple curriculum options, ballet, piano, Spanish and ASL lessons, science and math support classes, monthly field trips, STEAM kit opportunities, and more. There's even 24-hour online student support from a professional tutor. At Central Valley Homeschool, we find a way for all students to learn.
After my car was hit by that van, I had so many injuries and medical bills.
If you've been in an accident and suffered a serious injury, you need to get an attorney that will help you get what you deserve.
BD&J won a $12.5 million settlement for me.
Call BD&J.
Experience the possibilities of anti-aging medicine at Maj Medical Clinic. Dr. Maj Zubi uses the healing benefits of your own stem cells for your optimum health.
It was a miracle, honestly. It was simple, outpatient. I felt better the next day.
Call Maj Medical Clinic today.
Hi, this is attorney Shervin Lalazari. This truck swerved and hit me and my wife. The truck was driving way too fast. I'm so sorry to hear that. Were either of you hurt? I'm a little scratched up, but my wife is gonna need surgery. Can you meet us at the hospital? Of course. We'll be right there.
The Law Brothers were amazing. They were there every step of the way and got us $2.25 million.
We'll be by your side every step of the way.
Call us. We're the Law Brothers.
Call 559-900-0000 or visit lawbrothers.com.
KSEE 24 News is always available at the new yourcentralvalley.com.
Today we're talking about whether people should be held accountable if their child or another person is injured or killed using their unsecured weapon. And look, this is not a debate about guns. I mean, it's really not. It may sound like a debate about guns, whether you should have guns or not have guns. That's not what this is about. I want to underline the word unsecured guns. Kristen says the last time she saw her 15-year-old son, Ethan, alive, he was heading to his best friend's house. Take a look.
My name is Kristen Song, and I'm Ethan's mommy. On January 31st, 2018, Ethan asked if he could walk to his best friend's house. I came downstairs. I could see 2 police cruisers pulling up in front of our home. One of the officers just kept telling me, your son is in an ambulance. He's being raced down to the hospital. You need to find your husband, and you need to go now. We raced into the parking lot of the hospital. A police officer and a social worker ushered us into a tiny room. I remember watching the door handle, and I remember when that door handle started turning. The doctor walked in. He slid down the wall, and he put his head in his hands and he just whispered, "Your son is gone." Mike started shouting, "How did Ethan die? We had no idea." And he could have told me just about any other reason that my son died that might not have surprised me, except for your son was shot in the head.
Krista, I don't even know how a mother's ears hear that. How did you process that at the time?
I fell to the floor and I rocked in a fetal position and I prayed to God to take me. It implodes your world. The minute the words came out of the ER's doctor's mouth that my son was gone, my entire world imploded. And, you know, there's absolutely zero way to get your life back. You just can't do it. You're broken forever.
The doctor couldn't even handle it.
No, the doctor actually was from my hometown. His children actually went to school with Ethan. So actually the entire trauma team was from Guilford, and they knew when they saw Ethan. They knew him from our hometown. And he just slid down the wall and he just put his head in his hands and he just whispered, "Your son is gone." And that was the first 10 minutes of my life sentence.
Ethan had been friends with this boy for most of his life, right?
Yes, they met in kindergarten.
Did you have any idea that the family owned guns, that they had guns accessible? What did you know about that?
100%. I had zero idea.
When you reconstructed this to find out what happened, what did you learn?
I learned that his son had gained access to his father's guns for about 6 months and was showing all of his friends, that the boys were taking photos and videos of themselves posing with the guns. At first, it was pretty innocent, just posing with the guns like they would see in a movie. And then they got more comfortable with the guns, and then they started pointing them at each other, and they started taking videos, and, you know, until the day that Ethan was killed.
He was shot directly in the head. And what has happened with the young man that shot him in the head at this point? Have you talked to him?
I've had zero contact with him.
Zero contact. Have you had contact with the parents?
Zero contact.
They haven't reached out to you?
They have never once reached out to me or apologized or made any effort at all. And part of that is because, you know, when I was sitting with the prosecutor and I assumed the father was going to be charged. The father brought 3 handguns and a rifle into his home. He stored those 3 handguns in a shoebox with the ammunition. He's the adult in the house. And so all along, my husband and I were assuming that the gun owner was going to be charged. And instead, the prosecutor said, "Oh, no, we're going to charge the 14-year-old with manslaughter." And literally at that moment, a fire was lit in me. And I just looked at her and I said, how can we change this? And she said, you need to pass a law. You need to change the legislation. And so that's what my husband and I started to do.
And was the 14-year-old charged?
He was.
And what's the outcome?
He is in college now. He's going to turn 20. And I hear he's doing well.
Kristen says her family went from loving, happy, close-knit to literally imploding into a million pieces. We're going to talk about the effects of all of this and the fact that it was 100% avoidable. We'll be right back.
Closed captioning provided by... My most important kitchen tool? My brain. So I choose new Nariva Ultra. Unlike some others, it supports 7 brain health indicators, including mental alertness, from 1 serving to help keep me sharp. Try new Nariva Ultra. Think bigger.
COPD is harder on the folks around you, I think. My wife smoked, and she quit because she needs to be here to take care of me.
The people you love are worth quitting for. You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT NOW.
Students and teachers, innovative programs and curriculum.
Dedicated to improving our communities.
The Fresno County Superintendent of Schools and KSEE 24 are committed to sharing these achievements
through stories that focus on educational excellence in our community.
Education Matters, Mondays at 6:30 on KSEE 24, local news that matters.
Made possible by EECU, Fresno State, and Chevron.
Water. All of life depends on it. Hotter, drier weather is now our reality. So, for the love of water, let's use it wisely. For the love of water, California, let's make conservation a way of life. Find ways to conserve at saveourwater.com.
Find your comfort footwear at Roxanne's Birkenstock, the Valley's largest Birkenstock retailer. We also have brands like Crocs and Dansko for the whole family. 40 years of exceptional customer service. Shop locally owned, Roxanne's Birkenstock.
Did you know that most of the other lawyer ads you see are from law firms that aren't truly in Northern California? They may act local, but they're usually phoning it in from Los Angeles or beyond. How can you get personal attention if they're over 400 miles away? Call Berg Injury Lawyers, a Northern California original. For over 40 years, we've been helping people of this community, and we're here for you now. Get Berg, 1-800-400-BERG.
There are a lot of people who've been afraid that no one will care and no one will listen. It's our purpose at News Nation to be fearless, that we can talk about anything, and there's no perspective that is considered out of bounds.
The most beautiful compliment the show in general gets is, wow, you made us feel comfortable. I didn't think that I could take these viewpoints anywhere else, and you made me feel valid. Where else are you getting that in cable news? I can't name another place.
Morning in America, weekday mornings at 6/5 Central on News Nation.
You're watching KSEE 24, local news that matters.
During the pandemic, unintentional shooting deaths by children increased by nearly a third. The majority of people killed in firearm accidents are under 24, and most of these young people are shot by someone else, usually someone their own age. Now, this is something Krista knows firsthand because her 15-year-old son, Ethan, was tragically killed while playing with an unsecured handgun at his best friend's home. Now, this had been going on for, you found out, like 6 months, right? That this young man they'd been posting this on social media, this sort of thing. So this can't be something that wasn't known. If the parents had been monitoring social media at all, if they had been aware of what was going on,
Well,
they had to have some idea.
Well, I would think the father would have known since he was a private investigator, and these guns were in his bedroom, but he didn't. The boys also, because these children are so smart, they outsmart us, they just created all fake accounts. So they created fake Snapchat accounts, and they only invited in the people that they were comfortable knowing were going to keep their secret. And I think over 100 kids were liking the pictures, and not one child stepped up. Not one child told their parents. Not one child told the teacher. We had 6 months to save my child.
Nobody said anything. No kid said, hey.
And, when I sat with the detective and I said, why in the world didn't these children step up? And he said, I'm going to tell you why. One thought he would be iced out from the lunch table. One, was such good friends with your son that he was so scared that Ethan would never talk to him again. And one didn't think guns were that dangerous. So those are 14-year-old, reasons. And, that's how they think.
You say the gun owner had 3 handguns with ammunitions and, the keys, everything to the containers, all in the same place.
Yes.
And, when you break this down psychologically, everybody thinks it's not going to happen to me.
100%.
You can even do this in your own home, But then if your kid's going to spend the night somewhere with a buddy or go to a party, you need to ask the questions, right? You know that. You got to ask, what's the situation with guns in the home? Do you have guns in the home? Are they locked up? Are they in a safe? Are they protected? And people will think, oh, this is a weirdo mother or something. Wouldn't you a whole lot rather people say, oh, she's the gun mom, than be in the situation you're in now?
100%. Probably like 4 months after Ethan died, I did a talk for a group of people, and one of the fathers came up to me after and said, I gotta tell you, I'm just really uncomfortable asking my children's, play date parents if they own a gun. And, my response was, it may be uncomfortable to ask those questions, but what's really uncomfortable is when you're sitting with a funeral director and they're asking you, do you want to bury your child or do you want to cremate your child? It's really uncomfortable when you have to watch your child get lowered into the ground and you know that you will never, ever see them again. That's uncomfortable.
Yeah. That's uncomfortable. Now, Ethan's Law, which is a true passion of yours, requires that all handguns, all firearms, loaded or unloaded, have to be safely stored if there are minors in the home.
Yes.
Lock them up.
There's, I'm not sure you all know, but 76% of all the school shootings are done with an unsecured gun. If you don't secure your weapons, you're really rolling the dice.
Yeah. You got to make a decision. And that is, can you deal with asking an awkward question? Can you deal with taking that extra step of going by Target or Walmart or wherever and picking up a gun safe that you can hold in your hand for $20 or whatever, and eliminate any chance? If you think it's 1 in 10,000, what's it worth to eliminate that? And if you ask that question and you feel awkward about it, you'll get over that. Next, a kickball game in the park ends in gunfire and a life changed forever. We're going to meet a brave young woman who was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time when 2 teens decided to start firing in a public space. Be right back.
Starting Monday.
All new season 22. You do not want to miss the episodes I have in store for you.
He says he's only cheated on his wife once.
Is this number 2?
A lying husband's affairs exposed.
How many more chairs do we need? The couples on this stage are going to teach you what not to do in a relationship.
I'll tell you the truth about anything you ask me.
You are married, but you're in love with somebody else, right?
I'd rather not answer that.
Plus,
Nicole discovered her husband has been in a long-term secret affair. That affair is with a man. It's an all-new season of Dr. Phil.
That's Monday.
Closed captioning provided by...
This is Rochelle, who gives you a shot. Rebecca is there when you feel not so hot. This is Larissa, who's feeling blown up. And this here is Winnie, who zhuzhed up their cup. This is Victoria, helping women stay healthy. These are your kids, snacking snacks made with veggies. And Maddie can help you find your new favorite color. And Kyle helps find meds for under $10. Whoever you are, wherever, whenever. At CVS, healthier happens together.
There it is. That feeling you get when you can do more with less asthma. It starts with Dupixent. Dupixent is not for sudden breathing problems. It's an add-on treatment for specific types of moderate to severe asthma and can help improve lung function for better breathing in as little as 2 weeks. Dupixent helps prevent asthma attacks and can even reduce or eliminate oral steroids. Can you picture it? Dupixent can cause allergic reactions that can be severe. Get help right away if you have rash, chest chest pain, worsening shortness of breath, tingling, or numbness in your limbs. Tell your doctor about new or worsening joint aches and pain or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines, including steroids, without talking to your doctor. Who knows what you can do when you do more with less asthma? Ask your asthma specialist about Dupixent.
Coming up, only 2 will make the finals. You are the act to beat. America, make me right.
Artists like you make our show special.
I would love you to be on my team.
Oh my gosh, that was the worst accent.
After I was injured by a truck driver, I had high medical bills and a ton of worries.
If you've been in an accident and suffered a serious injury, you need to get an attorney that will help you get what you deserve.
BD&J got a $28 million settlement for me.
Call BD&J.
I'm saving with Liberty Mutual, Mom. They customize your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need. You could save $700 just by switching.
Oh, let me put a reminder on my phone. On the top of the pile.
Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
I'm Emily Irwin. You're watching KSEE 24.
In May of 2021, I was sitting in a playground. I was shot by a stray bullet. There were 2 young teenagers that were involved in this shooting. It's something that ruined my life. It flipped my world upside down.
That phone call that your daughter has been shot is one no mother would ever want. Since this shooting, I am constantly worried for my daughter's safety. My heart is broken.
I 100% think that the parents should be responsible.
The parents need to be held responsible. The juveniles need to be held responsible. And right now, no one has been held accountable for this.
Well, in May of 2021, Amanda was enjoying an afternoon in the park with friends when 2 teens decided to start firing. You say you were sitting on a park bench watching.
I had just finished playing kickball with my friends, and we were gathered around in the playground talking like we usually do about the game, just having fun, and heard gunfire, couple shots, and I could see my friends fall to the ground to avoid getting shot, but I didn't have any time to react. I felt something hit my side, and I immediately fell to the ground because I lost complete control of my legs and my core. So I just fell off the bench I was sitting on.
This severed your spine. You fractured a rib, damage to the spleen, diaphragm. This wreaked havoc.
It did, yeah. I lost complete motor and sensory control. I can't feel anything from my waist down. It's changed how I do, my daily activities. I use a wheelchair for all mobility, getting dressed, going to the bathroom, much different than how I was doing before and how most people do.
And you say nobody else's life has changed as a function of this? No shooter, no parents of shooter, nobody has?
No, there's been no resolution as far as Amanda's case through the justice system. They have an idea, but they can't prosecute anybody.
Would it help you if someone was brought to justice on this?
I think that it would help me. And when we talk about justice, to me, it's more than just slapping a fine or putting somebody in jail. What's important to me is if the individuals, these teens involved, the parents of those involved, the repercussions were to get involved in more educational type things, go to classes, as you mentioned, the couple had gone to class, getting involved in interventions for children, for after-school programs, getting involved in community action, I think would be something that would feel really important to me.
Because if they've not had any accountability whatsoever, then you have to assume they're still out on the street with guns in their hands.
Yes.
And subject to victimizing others the way they victimized you.
and influencing others to do the same, friends.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What is your goal in terms of physical recovery? Are you where you're going to be? Is there progress to be made?
Since I've been shot, I haven't had any progress in terms of physical or sensory progress. Still need to use a wheelchair. I work very hard with my physical therapist, as you could see in the videos, using a robotic exoskeleton for walking. I go out in the city and use that. So I'm trying to do as much as I can with technology. Being paralyzed is very difficult. It's very minimal progress, but trying to do as much as I can, getting back into adaptive sports, doing the things I normally used to do as much as I can. Those are my goals.
Well, I'm very proud that you came here today.
Thank you. I'm proud to be here. Thank you.
We're going to add someone to the conversation. I want you to stay right here. We're going to add someone to the conversation here. A former executive in the firearm industry says fear has been used as a marketing tool to get people to purchase more guns and forego simple security measures. We're going to add him to the conversation after the break.
We always had questions. Who do we belong to? Who are our ancestors? I know we have them. That is. Yes.
When I found that immigration record on Ancestry, it was amazing.
Everything was there.
The U.S. was in dire need of nurses during World War II.
Amalia, as a nurse in El Salvador, decided to answer that call. So a lot of excitement finding something new.
I feel like a time traveler.
Yeah.
Claudia starts calling me, and it's a party every time.
Yeah.
She found it. The feeling of finding the psoriasis treatment she's been looking for. Sotyktu is the first of its kind once-daily pill for moderate to severe plaque psoriasis for the chance at clear or almost clear skin. It's like the feeling of finding your back is back, or finding psoriasis can't deny the splendor of these thighs. Once daily Sotyktu is proven to get more people clearer skin than the leading pill. Don't take if you're allergic to Sotyktu. Serious reactions can occur. Sotyktu can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB. Serious infections, cancers including lymphoma, muscle problems, and changes in certain labs have occurred. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, liver or kidney problems, high triglycerides, or had a vaccine or plan to. Sotyktu is a TYK2 inhibitor. TYK2 is part of the JAK family. It's not known if Sotyktu has the same risks as JAK inhibitors. Find what plaque psoriasis has been hiding. Ask your dermatologist about Sotyktu for clearer skin. So clearly you. Sotyktu.
Instantly. DraftKings, you spoiling me now with these big payouts. Retired NFL smart guy Ryan Fitzpatrick. Break it down for us.
Just place your bet, and the bonus bets instantly appear in your account. Like magic. Like Fitz magic.
That's too much magic. It's too much magic.
Want to turn $5 into $200 instantly in bonus bets? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, because life's more fun when you're in on the action. The crown is yours.
As little as 5 minutes.
They settled my case for over $350,000.
Call us. We're the Law Brothers.
Call now or visit lawbrothers.com.
It's a taste of fall, a day not to miss.
Werther's Original Limited Edition Harvest Caramels. Discover the original fall flavor.
KSEE 24 News is always available at the new yourcentralvalley.com. KSEE 24 is your local weather authority, always the most accurate, and now the Chuck Chansey Getaway Forecast gives exclusive regional information for your weekend. AJ Rubin and the Chuck Chansey Getaway Forecast is all you need, and it's all on KSEE 24, your local weather authority.
Many homeowners own guns for protection, and many of those homeowners are responsible and store those weapons safely and securely. Sadly, though, a shocking number of people don't. And it's those guns that often end up in the wrong hands and end up injuring or killing people unintentionally. Now, Ryan has owned guns for years and had a very successful career in the firearm industry, and he joins us virtually now. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me today.
Well, I appreciate it. And you say that fear has been a marketing strategy, a way to get people to buy guns and also not be very motivated in securing them. Is that why you were motivated to leave the industry?
Yeah, sadly, certainly in the last 10 or 15 years, we've seen a transformation of what drives firearm sales in the United States. And a lot of it is motivated by fear. And as we know in our system, certainly our political system, a lot of fear can be irrational. And when there's a seed of fear, I mean, we heard earlier in the show here, right? We have bikes and welders being stolen from a house, and you worry about what's going to happen to your family, and you worry about what's going to happen to the rest of your possessions. And you go out and you make a purchasing decision, and it's largely based on fear, right? Fear of what's going to come down the street, fear of what's going to be taken out of the garage. And sadly, in the last 10 or 15 years, not enough time has been spent on the other side of the equation, which is the incredible amount of responsibility that goes along with that purchase.
Yeah, I've actually talked to people who have shot and killed someone, and I can tell you it changes their life forever. And if there was anything they could do to take it back, they would take it back. Because if you shoot somebody that's stealing something or whatever, after the fact, it's like, I wish they had just taken that and 10 things more rather than shoot them, because I've now got to live with that for the rest of my life. And I don't think people ever get on the other side of that transaction and think about how they're going to feel if they take someone's life over a car or a lawnmower or some jewelry.
If it's not worth dying for, then it's not worth killing for. And there was a time when gun ownership in America really was laced with that kind of sort of, really out there in the forefront responsibility. Again, we now have, you look around the country, many of the folks in your studio there today probably drove there or rode in an Uber. You look around, we have about 270 million registered vehicles in the United States now. And that's a lot. Get on the road, and it seems like a lot. We have 415 million firearms in the United States, 150 million more than we have vehicles. You can't have that sort of prevalence of firearms. And I'm a gun owner. I hunted with my boys just a couple days ago. I shoot a lot. But you can't have that prevalence of firearms in a complex democracy like ours and not have responsibility, norms, and regulations play a vital role, or you're going to have a lot more stories like we've heard here today. And as you've noted, every one of those is preventable, 100% preventable. Not a single one was an accident. Accidents are meteors falling out of the sky. These things are not accidents.
I have got the greatest fans on Facebook. They're called Dr. Phil Fanatics. That's PHAN. If you want to join a fun, cool community, then scan the flow code and sign up for Dr. Phil Fanatics. You'll get all new exclusive content and be the first to gain access to Dr. Phil news, chat about episodes, and receive messages from me. Open your camera, aim, and click the link. We can't wait to have you join our group. And if you missed the flow code, grab your phone and we'll show it again later in the episode. We'll be right back.
Kayaking is my thing.
Running is awesome.
But her moderate to severe eczema would make her skin so uncomfortable.
Now, I'm staying ahead of it.
Dupixent helps heal your skin from within, so they can have clearer skin and less itch. Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems, such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor. Ask your doctor about Dupixent.
I have COPD because I smoked, so I have to pace myself. My tip is, if you're having people over for Thanksgiving, start cooking in October.
You can quit. For free help, call 1-800-QUIT now.
Join me in the Finish 24-hour challenge. Start by cooking a lasagna. Skip the rinse and load your dishes. 24 hours later, when your dishwasher is full, let Finish Quantum clean your dishes.
Try Finish Quantum. Unbeatable clean, unbeatable.
It's called being human. A human who takes care of their eyes, then stares at their phone, who embraces self-care and believes beauty is worth some pain. So go ahead and do your 10-step skincare routine and make the 11th sun. Teach your kids that aging is beautiful while trying to prevent it. With traditional medicine and alternative remedies, there's no wrong way to treat life at Rite Aid. And now get your flu shot with easy scheduling, fast appointments, plus walk-ins available daily.
I was just crossing the street when that bus failed to stop. The collision broke my leg.
If you've been in an accident and experienced a serious injury, you need an attorney that will help you get what you deserve.
BD&J got me over $9 million from my accident.
Call BD&J.
Enrollment is now open. Homeschool offers a flexible schedule to meet your family's needs. In Kingsburg Elementary Charter School District, we offer everything you need to participate in the successful education of your child. Credentialed teachers, multiple curriculum options, ballet, piano, Spanish and ASL lessons, science and math support classes, monthly field trips, STEAM Kit opportunities, and more. There's even 24-hour online student support from a professional tutor. At Central Valley Homeschool, we find a way for all students to learn.
KSEE 24, the Better Business Bureau, Fresno State Ethics Center, and Lyle Center are proud to honor local professionals at the celebration of ethical leadership tonight at 7 p.m., proudly supported by Richard Heath and Associates, Donald P. Dick, and KSEE 24.
This can go to zero. There are a few things that you can cure, you can eliminate from society. This is one of those things that you can certainly get damn near close to if you can just get people to lock up guns, if you can get them to make them where you can't shoot somebody with a gun you don't have. And if you can secure these and lock them up, we can take this down so far if people will just do it. And it takes so little to do it. That's what's so frustrating about it. I really hope everybody listens to this. Nobody's trying to take your rights away. Nobody's trying to take your guns away. We're just saying lock them up. Lock them up and don't let children get their hands on them because they don't understand what can happen. And you all saw the experiment. You know, teacher comes in, don't touch them. I come in, don't touch them. We leave, they touch them. So it is foolish and it is foreseeable. You've heard us talk about this, so we have to be responsible. Those teens shouldn't have had access to those guns. Those kids shouldn't have been playing with them. That cost Ethan his life. It's not necessary. So cautionary tale, everybody please listen to it. We're gonna have more information about Ethan's Law on our website as well, so you can read about that. Look, we're out of time. I wanna thank all of my guests today. For more information about today's episode, and to find out how to store your gun safely, just log on to drphil.com. If you want to add your voice to the conversation, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Don't forget to scan the flow code on the screen for exclusive behind-the-scenes content. And don't forget to follow and subscribe to my podcast, Fill in the Blanks. I really dig into the data of social media and the addiction with founder and CEO of Center for Countering Digital Hate in the U.S. and UK, Imran Ahmed. And also listen to Robin's podcast, I've Got a Secret with Robin McGraw. You can check them both out on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.
Right there. This week, the Denny's Super Slam is only $9.99. Hungry for all your breakfast favorites? When you want America's biggest breakfast for only $9.99 at Denny's,
it's diner time.
Now open really late.
Shopping from store to store on Labor Day is a chore, so kick back and let us shop for you. Ventura TV's latest digital tag tech constantly shops the competition, so you always get the lowest prices on new electronics and appliances. This 16-bottle countertop wine chiller is just $99. Amana's deep freeze chest freezer is only $6.79. And Samsung's steam laundry pair is just $12.99. Hurry in and get no interest financing for up to 12 months when you shop at Ventura TV.
Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime event and save 30% to 50% off. The Central California Spa and Swim Spa Show is going on this weekend at the Big Fresno Fairgrounds. Shop between multiple major brands with over 100 in-stock, new, factory seconds, limbs, and refurbished hot tubs and swim spas to choose from. The Central California Spa and Swim Spa Show ends this Sunday and is located at the Big Fresno Fairgrounds in the Industry Commerce Building. Hurry in.
KSEE 24 News is always available at the new YourCentralValley.com. Your Central Valley Toyota dealers proudly sponsor tonight's first segment of local news that matters at 5. Toyota, let's go places. Local news that matters. This is KSEE 24 News at 5.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alexander Balakian.
And I'm Stephanie Barugian. And we start with some breaking news in Southeast Fresno, where multiple people have been taken to 3 local hospitals after a reckless driver struck them